Speaking of Israel and the American attitudes, you have someone who's utterly insane communicating on this issue with more sincerity than most Democrats are. Listen, I'm not even talking about the Bernie Sanders of the world. Like, I mean, even though she outflanks them as well, which is, again, unacceptable. Here's a 13-minute discussion that Megyn Kelly had with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Although I haven't seen the number of...
Be careful, make no mistake, Shash, she's horrible, evil, and anti-Semitic. Yes, this is true. However, that is precisely the reason why you should be very worried that she is taking bold stances on this in Congress as a national party politician. It's ridiculous. It should not be Marjorie Taylor Greene saying these things. It should be AOC saying these things. It should be literally Bernie Sanders saying these things. It shouldn't even just be Bernie Sanders saying these things, though. It should be Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and every prominent national Democrat screaming from the goddamn mountaintops on this issue.
Dead children, injured children, starving children coming out of the Ukraine-Russian conflict like we've seen come out of the Israel-Gaza conflict.
Isn't that because of the Palestinians and their amazing propaganda ability?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, definitely. The Palestinians control the media, and the international banking system is the most insane version that we have arrived at. Like, people who want to defend Israel are so psychotic that they unironically do like anti-Semitic propaganda, but instead of saying, you know, Jews do this, Jews do that, similar things that, you know, the Nazis said about the Jews that led to the Holocaust, they're saying it about the Palestinians in real time. It's so stupid because it's like, who the would believe this?
Know what I'm being fed or for what purpose.
Yeah.
The Ukrainians aren't doing that, and the Russians aren't doing that.
The Russians aren't doing propaganda? What the planet are you on? Everybody does propaganda. The one group of people that can't do propaganda because they don't have a functioning state is the Palestinian people. The only group out of every single one of these groups that she mentioned, whether it be Israel, Ukraine, Russia, and the Palestinians, the only group that has no capacity to do quote unquote propaganda and influence the media is the captive population of Palestinians that are currently being actively genocided. Holy
Why isn't Ukraine and Russia
they're not good at propaganda.
doing that to each other?
See, this is
Well, I don't know. I think Zelensky's pretty good at propaganda.
Maybe, but
Oh my God. Then they agree. It's just, yeah, only Zelensky's doing propaganda. Get the out of here, bro. What are we talking about? Come on, man. Everything is a lie. I don't know how to deal with this. Like, even when I'm supposed to agree with someone here, which is, you know, unlikely, the incredibly, unimaginably unlikely scenario where, like, Marjorie Taylor Greene has, like, arrived at a sincere position on one thing, whether the primary motivation there was, like, Jews having space lasers or controlling the weather machine or whatever, I don't know. But clearly, she has become a champion of this cause. But, like, every part of this conversation is just wrong. Every part of this conversation is an insane lie, one that falls apart with like just a little bit of scrutiny. How? The question is how? Like, how are Palestinians capable of doing propaganda? What are you talking about? What do you mean when you say propaganda? Like filming themselves being blown up by American missiles that Israel seemingly has unlimited supply of? I said, it's wild that there's a significant number of Israel defenders that looked at the Nazi Holocaust and basically used it as a checklist for Israel down to the denialism. Here's another example from Mohammed Al-Safin. Does the Holocaust education system in Israel just teach Israelis how to use Nazi propaganda? What is going on? Here's Emily Schrader saying, when Palestinians move in masses to any other territory, to any other country, they wreak havoc in this country and they move to the rootless cosmopolitan Palestinians. This happened with Jordan. This happened with Lebanon. And they, Arab states, know that the Palestinians are troublemakers by nature. This is bar for bar, verbatim, what Nazis said about Jews, about the international Jewry, the Jewish question. This is what that is. She just changed Jew to Palestinian and named the countries from Western European nation states, Arab countries. That's it. Countries in the Levant. Control C, Control V. What the This is verbatim Adolf Hitler, man.
So Donald Trump is the most attacked, I'd say, human being ever by the establishment media. I would say I'm the most attacked member of Congress ever by the establishment media. I have supported him unapologetically. They would love...
Bro, first of all, Ilhan Omar is right there, okay? There's good reasons to attack Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I'm a Christian myself. I'm against children.
Let's talk about that one.
Starving.
There's daylight between us because I
She's
believe
like, because I like some Christians being starved to death. There's daylight between us because I think some Christians do deserve to be starved, specifically Palestinians. Also, that's such a crazy way to frame this, but it's like, okay, what about the Muslim Palestinians? You know what I mean? Atheist and Muslim Palestinian children do deserve a little bit of starvation. Just the Christian Palestinians that I feel like are being unjustly maligned.
that children are starving and hurting in Gaza, no question. But I blame Hamas. I do see what's happening with the Israeli aid and the food trucks, and they get co-opted by Hamas, by certain Palestinians. And
there's no evidence for this. You just literally heard the biggest lying government, the Israeli government, and you just verbatim repeat that propaganda. That's it. That's all this is. Israel says something, so it must be true, even though it lies every day of the goddamn week.
Well, they started
Am I wrong?
it. They started it. So October 7th was unbelievably horrific. It's unspeakable what Hamas did. I totally blame Hamas. The war wouldn't even be happening if Hamas hasn't done all the things that they've done, right? Firing rockets into Israel, kidnapping and murdering all these people, suicide bombers over the years. Absolutely. They started this and it's horrible. I think it's Israel's, they can pinpoint areas, but they're just mass bombing everywhere, and the videos coming out of there are terrible. I'll also say this, Megan, that conflict has been going on I'm 51 years old. It's been going on way beyond before I was born or any of us were born. I can't even tell you I qualify to solve it.
It's crazy how stupid propaganda like this can propagate so freely with the internet being a thing. It's because of so much Islamophobia that even Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is like outflanking many other congresspersons on this, definitely one of the most outspoken on the Republican side, with the exception of Thomas Massie, and obviously doesn't come anywhere near like Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib, but like the reason why she is one of the now seemingly leaders of this movement to say Israel is still choosing her words very carefully while talking about the Christians is because most people have this idea that Muslims by and large and Arabs by and large, which is like only seen as a collective Muslim monolith, deserve it. They deserve the violence. They deserve the death and destruction. They are at most collateral damage. Oh, I feel bad that like some babies died in the process. I guess you're not conducting your warfare adequately. That's it. If you don't understand like why so many people still, as we've seen like the YouGov poll that came out yesterday, while the numbers have swung wildly in the direction of anti-Israel sentiment in this country, there's still a lot of people who do not sympathize with the Palestinian people broadly. And that is because they still are operating with multiple decade faucet of propaganda about Muslims deserving it. Many people do not reckon with the reality of America's failure of the war on terror. At most, they look at it as 12,000 brave soldiers died in the process for no reason, and also $6 trillion or $7 trillion was just wasted in this. They don't think about the millions that were slaughtered. They do not think about the tens of millions that were destabilized and displaced from their homes. They do not talk about the tens of millions of people that will never live a normal life because of these actions. Because in the process of doing this fake war on terror, the American media, through every facet, justified these actions of conquest. And the first step in that justification comes from dehumanizing the enemy, a monolithic force of evil, Islamic terror. Why are they so barbaric? It's because they read the Quran and they believe the Quran, and the Quran is a violent text. This is the reason why so many people still, on the one hand, say like what Israel's doing is unconscionable, but on the other hand, cannot sympathize in their hearts. They can't find the humanity of Palestinians. They just don't see it.
Dead children, injured children, starving children coming out of the Ukraine-Russian conflict like we've seen come out of the Israel-Gaza conflict.
Isn't that because of the Palestinians and their amazing propaganda abilities? Like, I think that's the reason, because the Palestinians put all this on camera and release it. And they make sure that we see this, which is another reason to be suspicious of it. You know, I don't know what I'm being fed or for what purpose.
Yeah.
The Ukrainians aren't doing that, and the Russians aren't doing that.
But why not, though? Why isn't Ukraine and Russia
they're not good at propaganda.
doing that to each other?
See, this is
Well,
why
I don't know. I think Zelensky's pretty good at propaganda.
maybe, but I guess he doesn't have like the lifelong commitment to it that the Palestinians. I mean, since I've been in news, the Palestinians have been doing this.
Yeah.
And they're very good manipulators of media.
Yeah, the Palestinians control the media. They got their tentacles in every orifice of Western civilization.
They need to exist. They have no place else to go. It's not an area of the world that's very hospitable to Jewish people.
Right.
And they are allied with the United States. They seem to share a lot of our values. So, like, you watch, I mean, this is a weird way of looking at it, but I look at what's happening in Dearborn, Michigan, with like the call to prayer 5 times a day on the streets of an American city, and Muslim immigrants coming over here and having 7 children each family. And look at the birth rates in Europe right now, which are largely like non-existent for white native Europeans, but sky high.
This is why, without solving the Islamophobia part of the equation, you can't actually have a serious discussion about this. Because even the person who is like actively calling this a genocide still has a bunch of insanely toxic opinions about Muslims in general. So it doesn't really make sense. Both of these blonde women on screen believe that Muslims are barbaric rapist hordes that are backwards, that are trying to destroy the Western civilization, and they don't think that they're like human beings, okay? Then one side's attitude is, well, their wholesale slaughter is too costly. The other side's attitude is, no, we should just keep killing them. Who gives a They have a disagreement on genocide, but like ultimately it's a too big of a point of contention. You know what I mean?
He has amazing abilities to affect, terrorist takedown plans, which is also helpful. So like these strategic reasons make sense to me too, for our understanding we don't have endless funds to spend some there.
Yeah, that's been the thinking. And that's what Americans have largely believed. And that's how the U.S. government has largely functioned for as long as I can remember. Although if you look at Israel, you have to recognize in the context of these conversations, not only are they such a strong economic country, not only have they proven that their military they're annihilating their enemy almost,
Totally.
and they're going to finish the job, and they're saying they're going to finish the job. They also have nuclear weapons. This is a nuclear armed nation.
So you're saying you agree with all that, but they got it.
Like Megyn Kelly is low key tackling the issue from that angle where it's like, well, you hate Muslims too, so why do you care about their genocide? Which I don't believe is a genocide anyway. Like do you notice that the conversation is moving in this direction? She literally is just like, you hate Muslims just like I do. They're all fucking barbaric monsters. Why don't you just fucking shut up and let Israel pack up a bunch of them? Like, what do you mean?
Israel's a nuclear armed nation. Look at the outcome there. They did nothing to Israel. They did shoot missiles in there, but did they really do anything to Israel? No. And could they have? No. Israel's a nuclear armed nation. They're surrounded by their enemies per se, and that's constantly said over and over again. But Israel is a nuclear armed nation. They can nuke these people off the planet if they want to. And they have proven with their actions what they will do to their...
Here's another reason why it's bad that there is a major void in the political discourse that is being filled by the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's stupid. That's it. She's just stupid. She's hateful and also stupid. So her conversation, her back and forth with Megyn Kelly on this is going to be stupid. Like she's like, oh, well, Israel's a nuclear armed nation. Okay. They have already dumped 8 nukes worth of munitions on Gaza. Clearly wiping out Gaza with one singular nuke in this day and age when there are other nuclear armed nations around is not going to be a viable outcome, is not going to be a viable option for Israel, especially given the proximity of the Gaza Strip to Tel Aviv. Yeah, they're not going to nuke their own backyard, dude. That's why they have utilized conventional weapons instead of nuclear weapons to get the same job done.
They're starving children in Gaza. There are innocent Christians have been killed. Christian churches have been bombed. They are proving that these 50 hostages that are left and they're demanding back, they are proving that they will turn the entire Gaza Strip to rubble to get their 50 people back. I think that's a country that America can say, They got it.
You got this.
But we're not doing the same thing for our people. That's
right. We're kind of losing our shining city on the hill feel as you look back at our friend from Illinois and driving her car. And there are millions more just like her.
Tons of them.
I mean,
they're filled in my district.
If you told me tomorrow that we're pulling all the aid from Israel, I would say, oh, good God, who's going to decide?
It just sucks that she, even with her idiotic framework, is still a better voice on this issue than Hakeem Jeffries, man. Unacceptable. She is a better voice for Palestinians than Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and basically the damn near entirety of the establishment of the Democratic Party. When this is now a 92% to 8% issue in the base for Democrats. 8% of Democrats want to continue supporting Israel. 92% of Democrats want to stop Israel. This is an unforgivable error. It's insane. Wake the up, man. If they don't trust any media coming out of Gaza, why are they even talking about half this shit? Well, she trusts the media coming out of Gaza, just Israeli media. And not even like all of the Israeli media, because the Israeli media regularly covers like the inadequacies and the issues, right? But she just, I mean, she doesn't even listen to Israeli media, honestly. They're just listening to Benjamin Netanyahu. They're just listening to the Israeli government, not even the Israeli media, but the Israeli government. That's it. And they're just reiterating whatever the the Israeli government is saying. A government, much like every other government, lies routinely, but a government that lies in even dumber ways than at least like this somewhat sophisticated propaganda operation that like even Russia will engage in, okay? The sinister ways in which other countries and their governments operate propaganda in. Israel just straight up will just be like, nope, it didn't happen. But if it did happen, then it was good and it was worth it and it had to happen. And you're a piece of shit for saying at first that it did happen when we lied and told you it didn't happen. But also, you're still a piece of shit. You're anti-Semitic for saying that it did happen and you were right and we were wrong, because it's a good thing that it happened. And we should do more of it, as a matter of fact. And if you tell us that we shouldn't do more of it, then you're doubly anti-Semitic and wrong. You should be deplatformed. You should be fired from your job.
Here's what I keep telling everybody in Washington. I'm like, oh, you think we're going to win the midterms by spending all this stupid money again, not solving everybody's problems? Really, everybody's going to run out and vote for Republicans again? It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. I think people...
Especially when Trump is gone.
Dangerous prospect that Marjorie Taylor Greene is literally still, with all of her faults and failures, outflanking most of the Democrats and most of the Republicans on this issue. It is unacceptable that there's only a handful of Democrats that are better on this issue than Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay? It's ridiculous.